how do you achieve your bigger goals without pushing, forcing, or willpower? That's exactly what we're talking about today on Mindful Manifesting, and you're listening to Ariana Rollins. So, what if the key to achieving your biggest goals isn't about discipline or willpower or forcing yourself, but rather a clear step-by-step process to rewire your brain and remove the blocks that are holding you back from taking the action that will be successful? So today we're going to be breaking down the highest potential method, 3-step process or system, because I focus on strategic manifesting. I know that sounds like a really weird word, but it is. So it's to help you manifest your bigger objectives, your bigger goals with that clarity, confidence, and ease. No pushing, no forcing. So before we dive in, if you would like to get my freebie, Kickstart Your Manifesting Journey Toolkit, you can go to mindfulachiever.com. I'll put it in the show notes too. It includes a guided meditation to clarify your vision and a worksheet to map your ladder steps. This is how you turn big dreams into doable, aligned action. So let's dive in. So I have a passion. It's a big dream. Ever since I left England in 1991, I have dual citizenship and I lived there for many years. Really loved it. It was the best place that I've lived, bar none. I had so much gratitude, had a great job, company car, traveled on the weekends throughout Europe. It was awesome. So I've had, now we're talking, 1991? Long time, guys, long time. And I've had these urges like, gosh, what would it be like to move back to England? What would it feel like? Would I enjoy it? I know I'm much, much older, but I really was the happiest there ever. So I had this view, and I remember it's come up several times over, I guess it was it was probably 1993 I revisited, another 5 years, another 10 years, and I would revisit it, and I had this view, this all or nothing thinking, which means I just completely abandoned my life in the United States, and I moved back. I get rid of everything, get rid of my dog, and I move back. And that created too much turmoil in me, too much fear, that it was too big a leap. So what I have uncovered for myself, and I want to share this with you, is that when we can break it down into a step that feels less scary, then we can actually start to take action on it. So coincidentally, my son and I were talking about a trip to Europe this summer, and it came to pass in August. So I was able to walk by my house, my row house that I used to own in Windsor, and I was able to, go to the pub that was right down the street and just walk the high street, and I could experience what it was like to live there. It gave me a taster, right? Instead of, let's just move back. I know, silly, right? But that's how I've done a lot of big changes in my life, big swings. And it forces too much change at once. It's hard. So we talked about, the clarity. Let's go into a little bit more detail. So step 1, some clarity. Step 2, I kind of break it down. Ladder steps. Step 3, rehearse. So step 1, clarity. Define what you really want. Now, I know there's tons of books on this, and my book, Mindful Achiever, starts out like that. And sometimes if you are struggling with what you really want, you just know you're unhappy and you're pushing away from what is, that question or that statement can irk you, get you angry. I know it's done it to me. It's done it for me. I got angry. But let's talk about why it matters. Well, without clarity, without articulating a moving forward goal or objective instead of a pushing away from goal, your brain defaults to fear. And it can kind of trigger overwhelm, kind of wets your circuitry down. If you can imagine what it would be like a really amazing complex circuit board and you put a little bit of water in it. Fear is like that. It kind of short circuits things. So how to ask for it? Well, if you go to what do I really want and you feel that fear or you feel like fog, well, then it means it's probably you're trying to focus too big of a chunk. Too big of a chunk, like, leave my marriage, quit my job, go to be an entrepreneur, or move back to England. And what's motivating that could be frustration. And that's giving you a clue that that is a moving away from objective or goal. They do not work, my friend. They do not work. You need to have that clarity, that positivity, that 10 in desirability to gently nudge you forward. So let's ask again. Maybe try, what do I want to get rid of? What am I done with? Ooh, that's a good start. And can you flip it? Good. What does that look and feel like? What's it sound like? So for me, move back to England. It's like, just get rid of my life here. Move back to England. Well, it could be that I just want to explore it. Oh, a week trip with my son. Oh, is that possible? Yeah, I've got some points. Yeah, and he's got time off. Well, let's kind of nudge that forward, see how that feels. That was no commitment. That was just pure joy. Did it flow? Absolutely. So the power of clarity to find what you really want, but don't make it so big. Don't make it so big because your brain's going to get the wets. Sounds funny, right? You're going to overwhelm your circuitry. Okay, step 2, ladder steps. Break it down. So let me talk about the ladder method. So if, going back to my example, I'd put move back to England where I lived and was my most happiest. Okay. But, that was 30 years ago. I had a full-time job and it was a very different time on the planet. I think we'd all agree. So move back to England could be my top rung, but maybe there's something else that I want. Maybe I want cooler weather. Living in Austin, Texas, I got to tell you, 6 months of summer, I'm done. So move back to England, or maybe I could move to a place where I feel I am nourished by the weather, I'm thriving, community, connection, friends, networking, as a small business owner. Oh, I completely relax. That feels good. So I put that at the top. And then what would be the next rung down? Okay, explore places where the weather is more my liking. Maybe it's in the mountains. Look at the amount of rain that a place gets. Look at the economy. Look at, the job market there. Not that I want to get a job, but that it could be that it's a thriving economy. Okay? So then the next one would be going down, maybe plan a trip. And then the next one would be do some more exploration. Look at what's the cost of living. Look at what houses cost. Look at what rents cost, all that. Look at what the like Google Map, and you can really dive down and walk the streets. If you've never done that, super cool little Google man that you could walk, what it would be like that. I remember when I was living in Carlsbad, San Diego area, that we were planning a trip to go to Carmel, and we did that with a little Google man, walking by the ocean, walking down their main street. I felt like I was there, and the excitement to go there was amazing. So instead of, you noticed I'm going from one rung down, another rung down, another rung down. I didn't jump all the way down to the bottom. I'm doing it from the top down, which is super helpful. Really, really helpful. Because if you do that first rung, you're probably going to again, leap to the top. Oh, just book a trip. You don't know where though, okay? So why it works, big goals feel impossible until you break them down onto rungs on a ladder. And it's going to trigger less fear. It's going to feel doable, and it's going to give you much needed clarity. You see how these kind of all interweave here. And then you could ask yourself, well, what's kind of like one baby step I could take? What's another exploratory step? Exploratory. Ask yourself gentle questions, not these all or nothing questions. I don't know if you're like me, but I definitely am an all or nothing kind of black and white gal at times. So, an insight that you might come to, I forgot to mention the insight for the clarity step 1 is the key insight. Clarity isn't just about the goal, it's about how you want to feel. It's also who you become in the process. Because when you become that person who is equivalent to that goal, it happens. It's just amazing. Okay, key insight for the ladder method here would be you don't climb a ladder in one leap. You take it one rung at a time, and then you integrate, right? You step on that first rung, you look down where you're at, and you look where you're going. Great, I can do this. I can do this. And then step 3, rehearse. Embody your future self, living that. Now, if you want to take it in rungs on a ladder, I highly recommend that, because if, we leap all the way to the top, for me, move back to England, it's too much. I'm going to activate fear. And when I activate fear, I'm going to go back into my old programming, and it's going to feel impossible, too scary. So I would suggest imagine yourself that first rung. What would it be like to explore that? Feel it. Imagine it. So it's like for me, getting on the plane, traveling to, I've always wondered what the northwest of the United States feels like. A lot of rain there, right? Seattle, Washington. See myself booking a trip. I can feel it already. I'm leaning forward. I'm uplifted. I'm excited. If you notice when you start to set a goal or objective, you're leaning back or you're feeling heavy, that's a sign it's either too big or the timing's not right. So just break it down. So you have probably heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. In neuroplasticity, I'm not an expert, but what I do know after teaching the highest potential for 20 years, that your brain cannot tell the difference between real and imagined experiences. I discovered that's in Dr. Joe's work too, because I've been teaching that for 20 years. And that how your unconscious mind is, your body stores it. So all your experiences come forward to either shut you down or move you forward. So your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined experiences. Well, how do we do this? Take that first rung on the ladder. Maybe spend a couple minutes in the morning visualizing yourself already achieving that goal. Feel the emotions. Notice, are you feeling uplifted? Feel that reality that you've done it. Gosh, that feels good. And then as you imagine each rung of the ladder, then you're actually going to start to put into action. You're going to start to take action on that without that pressure, without that forcing, without using willpower. So it's my example, rehearsing my trip, maybe to explore Seattle or Washington. See if I own timeshare. See if I can find, an extended weekend. Why not? It wouldn't cost that much, and guaranteed I'd probably feel uplifted to get out of the heat in Austin. And so imagine myself maybe booking the flight. Imagine myself getting off the plane, okay? So rehearsal isn't just visualization. It's training your brain to believe it's possible. Actually, I use a lot of rehearsal in the highest potential, and it's way deeper than that. It's going into creating an endpoint success image, a vision of you already achieving it. And as you practice, if you want to get a taste of it, you can get that in my book on Amazon, Mindful Achiever, and it's my name. And I go through how to do that mental rehearsal for your objectives. So step 4, clearing the blocks, removing resistance. We all have resistance. How do we know we have resistance? We don't have what we want. We don't have it. So we know there are things in the way. So it's not just a belief, my friends. That's too lightweight. It's our history. It's our fears. It's our What if I make the wrong choice and I give up my whole life in Austin and I'm sad and lonely living in Windsor, England on my own again? So there's a reality there too. And so sometimes the things that kind of we put our brakes on, we slow down a little bit, it's serving us. It's serving us. Because if we do this all or nothing, walk out on our partner because we've had an argument, we may regret it. So we need to be rational. We need to have reasoning behind what we're doing and doing it from a calm and centered place, not reactive, which is that moving away from goals is reactive. It's not reasoning. It's not desirability. Okay, so identifying the blocks. Blocks, and here's a key insight. Blocks aren't stop signs, they're feedback. They show you where to focus your energy. They show you where you might be leaping too high on the ladder. They may maybe show you that the timing's not right. Right? Okay, so step 5, aligned action. Take the next step. So there's great power in taking action from that place of clarity, blocker-free, and alignment. What I mean by alignment is that I've checked in with my higher self, my true self. Is this appropriate for my highest and best good to do at this time? Will I enjoy it? What's the difficulty? What's the desirability? I actually do that every time I set an objective or a goal. And it brings peacefulness that I'm on the right path. Circling back to clarity. That's step 1. It all begins there, doesn't it? So why does the power of aligned action work? Well, action anchors your rehearsal into reality. And there's nothing like, you can read a book on clearing clutter, but until you take action and actually start moving things into boxes, moving those boxes into your car, driving them to your charity, or listing things on Facebook Marketplace, nothing changes. Learning is not enough. We have to apply what we're learning. So that aligned action is ensuring that we're taking the right steps, the successful steps. We're not going to regret giving something away to charity because we've reasoned it out. We've even used a strategy of maybe having a box of maybe and letting that sit for a couple weeks. And if you go back into the box, keep it, right? So step 5, aligned action, key insight is manifestation isn't magic. Manifestation, to be effective, is clarity and aligned action, because your latter steps are your roadmap. And it's not using SMART goals. Nothing wrong with SMART goals. But I find if you want to use your intuitive mind and not just rely on your reasoning and rationality and analytical mind, manifesting is a great way to start, but not the way most people teach it. This is the way I teach it is strategic manifesting. It's intentional manifesting. It's using a roadmap, and the highest potential is a phenomenal roadmap. Okay, so let's pull it all together. If you would like an action plan, if this is aligned, I invite you to implement. Get clear on what you want, and please go get the Mindful Achiever. Go to Mindful Achiever and get Kickstart Your Manifesting Journey. You'll like the guided meditation in there. It's going to really serve you. And then break it down into ladder steps. If you're starting to feel fear, it's too big or the timing's not right. Rehearse that first ladder. Rehearse in the future what it's going to feel like. Feel it. Do a mental rehearsal. And emotions. Feel the emotions. And then 4, clear the blocks holding you back. A wonderful program to learn how to clear the blocks is, I know there's a lot of resources, I'll make sure they're in the show notes for you, is Mindful Manifesting Program. Mindful Manifesting Program. This is going to help you identify when you're blocked. And again, it's not just simply a belief. It's not doing a workaround where EFT can be very helpful. It's not just doing a workaround to get you emotionally calm. This is actually rewiring your brain. This is neuroplasticity in charge. You're changing the way you think, the way you act, and the way you perceive a situation. So you're able to move forward with ease, with grace. And then take one aligned action today. If you've got that clarity, if you're able to do that mental rehearsal, take it, do it. So closing thought, you don't need to see the whole staircase or the ladder, just the first step. So quick recap. So the highest potential methodology that I've taught for 20 years, it guides you to that clarity of what it is that's really missing in your life. How do you want to use your life? What's missing? And then helps you create those latter steps using mental rehearsal, clearing blocks, and operating from that aligned action. And one small step today, maybe for you, could be go get the freebie at Mindful Achiever, or go enroll and purchase the home study course, Mindful Manifesting Program. There's nothing like taking positive action when you feel that calmness in your body. Yes, we can do things from fear sometimes. Sometimes we have to. But if you're feeling uplifted, you're feeling leaning forward, like what she's saying is really resonating, this might be part of the missing pieces that I've had with making manifesting work, I invite you to take action. All right, so what's one latter step you can take this week? It would be great if you'd share it with me. You can find me on social media, Mindful Achiever on Instagram, and I'd really like to know. All right, so we're going to continue this topic, and we're going to be exploring in the future how energetic cleansing can help support your manifestation process. Because when your space has openness, it can influence your ability to bring in what you want. So we'll be talking about that in new episodes. And lastly, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. Thanks so much for listening. And if you want to give a review, I'd be so grateful. So much love. Many blessings.